This is a historic week for the United States. In less than 24 hours, the country swears in its 46th president. But as Janelle Bluda shows us, the pandemic is making this presidential inauguration unlike any other.
From George Washington to Abraham Lincoln, the presidential inauguration is rich in history and time-honored traditions. But this year, some of those traditions will be missing. The swearing-in ceremony will look very much the same, but because of the pandemic, those hundreds of thousands of people who show up to watch have been replaced with a field of flags representing all those who could not attend. And the traditional parade down Pennsylvania Avenue will now be the virtual parade across America. With President Trump leaving Wednesday morning, he will also be skipping out on a few traditions himself. The outgoing and ingoing first families usually have breakfast that morning and then ride together to the Capitol, which this year won't happen. But the traditional luncheon and inaugural balls have also been canceled. Instead, there are a number of virtual events leading up to tomorrow. And Texas Southern University's debate team was chosen to be part of an event tonight.
We've seen true progress. We're a part of history in action.
The We Are One virtual celebration will honor the resiliency, culture, and heroism of Black Americans in the African diaspora. Nahab Vambule, the debate team's president, immigrated here from a refugee camp in Ghana in 2007. He says being a part of this history will live with him forever.
I am my ancestors' wildest dreams right now. We're living in a world where 2007, I did not think this would be possible, and I'm living in a dream right now.
The We Are One virtual event starts tonight at 7. We have all the information on how you can watch on our website, khou.com. Guys, back to you.